So, welcome, Anne. Anne has been with us with Mission Housing. Gosh, when did you apply?
I believe September 2023.
So, okay, so a little bit of time, and you were accepted, you applied. How did you first hear about us?
I'd heard about you from an old colleague of mine. I used to be with BMS World Mission and just gotten a house through Mission Housing through shared ownership when I visited a common friend who was also a colleague. So I visited her in her house maybe a week or two after she'd moved in. And she explained about how it had worked and she encouraged me to apply, to make contact. It still took me quite a bit of time after that
Mm.
to make contact, but yeah, that's how I heard.
And what was it like applying, like the application form and the whole process? Was it smooth? Was it scary? How was it as an applicant?
I think the process of applying, as far as the process goes, was easy enough. It made sense. Where it was a little bit more challenging, maybe, was just in the emotional, spiritual battle of who am I to go out and ask people to give so much money just so I can have a home. I'm working for a supported housing charity trying to help people out of homelessness. And it just felt, how do you square that with the people I work with to some extent? Even if I don't talk to them about it, it's just that sense of who am I? How do I deserve this? And spiritually as well, thinking I had always trusted God to provide, and He always has. And I had several teachings over the years about, don't store for yourself in great big barns more than you need and stuff like that. And I was thinking I had up to that point lived very much day to day, but I was becoming quite aware that as I'm getting older, what would happen to me in the future. And so I then was fighting thoughts. Yeah, and trusting God's provision and trusting that even planning for the future could still be God's provision. And it was God in the end speaking to me a very simple question. That was, and what if Mission Housing is my provision for your future? And then I finally applied. And then the process was fairly straightforward.
Yeah, yeah, good. You applied, you were accepted by the board. We had various interviews. You and I then embarked on your loan raising campaign to raise the loans to meet the gap. How was that?
Really daunting, even though I have been in mission work for most of my life. I've never had to really go out to fundraise as such. I never had to say, please give me money. So it was quite daunting. Your support, Crystal, and your advice was really helpful in how to go about that. And then I drew on my very wide newsletter list from all those years that I spent dependent on supporters in other ways. And that's mostly what I did.
Mm.
I emailed people and I talked to friends locally.
And the reaction was quite extraordinary, wasn't it? It wasn't, the process was difficult, but it wasn't hard to encourage people to respond to your campaign.
No, it took a long time. So I had one friend who was incredibly generous and started off the campaign. After that, it took a long time to have anything coming in. But in terms of accepting gifts and pledges, I found that perhaps slightly easier than some would do because, again, I have had to rely on others for so many years that I have learned over the years to just be grateful, but say yes and not worry too much about it. That if people have chosen to offer, then just accept. So that was relatively easy compared to what it might be for others. But the nothing coming in for quite a long time, that made me doubt, okay, am I on the right track? And then just suddenly all started coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that would be the secret to the success, wouldn't it be to accept it and just say this is your provision, Lord. This isn't so and so's provision. This is provision from God.
Yeah, and that's very much how I have seen it and how I've expressed my thanks as well. It's always been thanks for joining in with what God is doing. Thank you for listening to him and for trusting me enough
Yeah.
in the process.
Because
So,
we do invite others onto this journey, don't we? And we use that language right from the beginning. We're not just saying give to us or loan to us and ending that transaction. We're inviting people into the journey of faith of you purchasing a home, not for yourself, but actually for your work, for a greater purpose.
yes. Yeah, and it is very definitely a partnership. I have been thinking through various ideas of what I will do when I actually have my home
Yeah.
to celebrate that, celebrate just the sheer number of people who have joined in.
Yeah, yeah. And it's an ongoing journey, isn't it? The transaction didn't end at the loan or the deposit. It actually is part of the journey, ongoing.
Yeah.
It's very encouraging. It was so encouraging to see how people responded. I'm at the other end, so often I would get pledges or donations and gifts that you didn't necessarily know about. It was such a joy for me to be able to say to you, I've had this come through, I've had that come through. It's really very encouraging. It's a wonderful journey of faith. It really is. What does that do to your faith? How does that affect your faith when you see something like this happen?
I think for me, it confirmed my faith, confirmed my faith that God provides in his own way, that he provides, that he always will. I already had faith that he would, but still needed that in some ways, that confirmation. And the way funds came in was a big confirmation that God is who he says he is. And he provided for me some pretty lovely homes in the past. And he was providing for my next one.
Yeah. So, I mean, that leads us into the next question in that you managed to raise enough and we were able to say, yeah, we've got confirmed pledges and donations in your mortgage and your deposit, and that gave us enough to be able to go out looking. And what's the news on that?
So 2 weeks ago, I had an offer accepted on a house in the village I really, really wanted to be in. It wasn't where I had thought I would be when I started off on this journey, but God somehow brought me here and then made a way for me to stay. It's still very early days. It's still only 2 weeks into the process. And having had one sale fall through, I'm very aware of not celebrating quite too fast. What I also do know is that if this one doesn't work out, then there will be something else.
Yeah. I think it's holding things very lightly, isn't it, in terms of where God takes us. If that way or that way, his plan is perfect for us, even if that plan actually involves disappointments. But
Yeah.
he always brings it back, doesn't he, to what's needed. Yeah, that's wonderful. So you've gone through this process. You're now, and hopefully by the end of summer, we could probably get you moved in at last into your new property, which is really exciting. And I hope we're part of those plans of housewarming to come and
Oh,
see.
yes.
But what advice would you give to others who are starting on this journey or who are looking to journey with Mission Housing on something similar?
I would say make sure that you are in line with God, as in know that it is God's way for you. Because if you know that, then you will trust him through the process without that question that God planted of, and what if this is my provision for you? I think I would have struggled a lot more to write the emails, to do the communications, being able to say, I believe this is the way God is providing, made a really significant difference. So I think that's the first thing. And then trust, and also make use of the offers of help, whether that be from you, Crystal, in directing or advising how to go about the campaign, or offers of help from friends and family and complete strangers at time who will offer funds, whether in gifts or pledges. Just be prepared to receive and go with what's on offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And so this having a home that's safe and secure, because you've moved around a bit, haven't you? And you've longed for something safe and secure and long term. How much difference will that make to your mission and ministry?
It will give me that safe place that I can always go back to. I don't know what my ministry will look like in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, but having a true home will give me that anchoring that enables me to then explore and follow God where He leads. More than that as well, because of the place He's brought me to, it's a community to support me through it all. As a single person, it can be quite scary to do things sometimes, and I need community more than a nuclear family might do. I mean, I'm pretty sure they need community as well, but for me, that need is really, really obvious. And to have that community is precious. And without that home where you can get established in community, when you never know when the next move will have to happen, and it's just it gives stability from which to grow, deepen roots and grow up in in the fruits as well, whatever that will look like. Yeah.
Love that. That's wonderful. How can we pray for you?
Pray that the whole process goes through smoothly. House buying in England is particularly unreliable.
Yeah.
So pray for that. Pray with great joy and thankfulness for the way this house has come about, both the funding for it and the people I am buying from are an elderly couple who have been in the house for 40 or 50 years. Mutual friends, couldn't remember exactly how long, but they have been here very long. They have, for that whole time, been involved with what the church is doing in this village. It's a house that has been prayed in. It's a house that has known Christ. And I am thankful for that and what it might mean when I move in as well.
That's wonderful. And thank you. Really appreciate your time and sharing your story, which I know will encourage so many others in their journey. And we give thanks for you and for how this has come together.
Well, thank you for all the support and for holding my hand through the whole thing.
We have bought many hundreds of houses, so you're in safe hands. Well, how can you buy a house without Judy? That's what we always say. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.